Good morning, students. Already I have given you introduction of the Little Match Girl in part 1 of the video. Now we will be going text wise. The story The Little Match Girl, once again written by Hans Christina Andersen. Her time period was from 1805 to 1875. The story begins with, it was bitterly cold. It was extreme cold, snow was falling and darkness was gathering. There was snowfall in the evening and there was complete darkness. For it was the last evening of the old year. So we can make out that it was the last evening of the old year, means it was New Year's Eve. It's written, it was New Year's Eve. In the cold and gloom, there was coldness and sadness, in which a little poor girl walked, bareheaded and barefoot. She was neither having a covering on her head nor in her foot, through the streets. She had been wearing slippers, it is true, when she left home. But what good were they? They had been her mother's, so you can imagine how big they were. The little girl had lost them as she ran across the street to escape from the two carriages that were being driven terribly fast. When she left home, she was wearing slippers and that were too big for her. And in order to save herself from the two carriages which were passing, she missed her one slippers. One slipper could not be found and a boy had run off with the other. One of the slippers got misplaced and the other slipper was taken away by a boy. He said that it would come in very handy as a cradle someday when he had children of his own. Here again the poverty of the other boy is also spoken about. You can take it as a pun that he said that one day when he will have a child, he will be using it as a cradle. So the little girl walked about the streets on her naked feet, which were red and blue with the cold. When there is lot of coldness, there was snowfall, her feet has become red and blue. Red and blue over here is associated with the coldness or the bitter cold which she has felt in her feet. In her old apron is a covering or the clothes, she carried a great many matches and she had a packet of them in her hand as well. Actually, she has come out in that cold, chilly winter evening in order to sell matches, and those matches were held in her apron and one of the matches she was holding in her hand. Nobody had bought any from her and no one had given her a single penny all day. Throughout the day, she has been waiting to sell one of the matches, but none of the matches was bought by anyone. She crept along. Crept means walk slowly, shivering. She was shivering with cold. As we already know, it was very cold, and hungry. She was hungry also. She did not have food also. The picture of misery, poor little thing. It was, we can understand this, that the writer has tried to create an image of pain, misery of that poor little thing. The snowflakes fell on her long golden hair, which curled so prettily about her neck, but she did not think of her appearance now. When the snow was falling, it was falling on her beautiful curly golden locks, golden hairs, and she was looking extremely beautiful. But who cares for appearance now? She herself was least bothered of how she looked. Lights were shining in every window, and there was glorious smell of roast goose in the street, for this was New Year's Eve and she could not think of anything else. It was a New Year's Eve. People in their houses were having delicacies, delicious food. The smell of roast goose was also felt in the streets. People were happily enjoying the evening with their family and delicacies. She huddled down in heap in a corner formed by two houses, one of which projected further out into the street than the other. But though she packed her little legs up under her, she felt colder and colder. She tried to protect herself from the cold breeze, and in order to protect herself, she just huddled. Huddled over here, try to understand, when we keep something in a heap, we try to squeeze ourselves so that we don't feel the coldness. So she herself huddled in the in between two walls so that she cannot feel the cold, but still she felt colder and colder. Observe here that the word colder is repeated twice, which is trying again to give us an impact that it was extremely cold. She did not dare to go home, for she had sold no matches and earned not a single penny. She was afraid to return home. As I've already told you, her father would be sure to beat her. And besides, it was so cold at home, for they had nothing but the roof above them, and the wind whistled through that. Even through the largest cracks were stuffed with straw and rags. Again, the writer here, she has tried to project about the poverty felt in the home. Also, she said even if she returned home, she would be beaten up. That was the reason. The second reason was that if at all she want to feel warmth, and she returns home, it will not be possible, because the house was barely in a condition to provide her any sort of warmth or happiness. When the wind blew, it whistled. Here again the impact is that there was a lot of cold to be felt there, because there were cracks. It might be a mud house and there was a lot of cracks, and the wind just passed, and it was the family has tried to cover the holes in the house or the cracks in the house with rags and straws. Her thin hands were almost numb with cold. As she was feeling the cold, she was having nothing to cover hand, no gloves, nothing. So she was feeling numbness in her hand. If only she dared pull just one small match from the packet, strike it on the wall and warm her fingers. She just felt that she should strike one of the matches and make her hands feel or fingers feel the warmth. She pulled one out, scratch. She just dared to do that. How it spluttered and burnt it. We know how a matchstick burns. It had a warm, bright flame, like a tiny candle when she held her hand over it. But what a strange light! It seemed to the little girl as if she were sitting in front of a great iron stove with polished brass knobs and brass ornaments. When she lit the matchstick, she felt that the warmth that she felt. She imagined that she was sitting near the gas stove with knobs and brass ornaments. The fire was burning so beautifully that she felt a lovely warmth. Oh, how wonderful that was! The child had already stretched her feet to warm them too. When out went the flame, the stove vanished, and there she sat with burnt match in her hand. And all of a sudden, how long will a match burn? So it just vanished. She again continued doing the same. She struck another. It burnt clearly, and where the light fell upon the wall, the bricks became transparent like a gauze. She could see right into the room, where a shining white cloth was spread on the table. It was covered with beautiful china, and in the center of it stood a roast goose stuffed with prunes and apples, steaming deliciously. Now understand this. When she lit the second match, she found that the wall near which she was sitting became transparent, and she was able to observe the wide, big dining table on which there was delicacy spread. She found that there was a roast goose, okay, and it was stuffed with prunes and apples and everything. The smell was so attractive. And what was even more wonderful, that more attraction was there when she found that the goose which was on the table whooped down from the dish. It just jumped out, waddled across, walked across the floor with knives and all on its body and fork in its back, waddled straight up to the poor child. It just appeared coming towards the little match girl. Then out went the match, and again the match went off, and nothing could be seen but the thick cold wall, and again that transparent wall changed into a opaque wall. She struck another match. The third matchstick was struck, and suddenly she was sitting under the most beautiful Christmas tree. It was much larger, more lovelier than the one she had seen last year through the glass doors of the rich merchant's house. Every year she used to see the Christmas tree, but this year this Christmas tree was a big one and she was sitting under it. 1,000 candles lit up the green branches, and gaily, happily colored balls like those in shop windows looked down upon her. All the things that were decorated on the Christmas tree, she just looking at her. The little girl reached towards with both hands. Then out went the match, and as she tried to catch hold of the things in the Christmas tree, the matchstick went off. The many candles on the Christmas tree rose higher and higher the air, and she saw they had now turned into bright stars. Just create that image in your mind. You will feel that the Christmas trees, things that were struck on it, just went higher and higher, the candles, and finally they became stars in the sky. One of them fell, streaking the sky with light, and she also found that one of the stars just fell, and the whole brightness of the star was filled in the sky. Now someone is dying. She connects something, said the little girl, for her old grandmother, the only one who had been ever been good to her, but who was now dead, had said, whenever a star falls, a soul goes up to God. When she sees the star falling, she just was reminded of her grandmother, to whom she was very much affectionate. She was the only person who loved the little match girl with all her heart and soul. She was reminded of one of the things that she has said, that whenever a star falls, somebody dies. So is it so? Has somebody died? Why the star has fallen? She struck another match on the wall. Once more there was light. Again the glow of the matchstick was seen, and in the glow she could find her old grandmother, oh so bright and shining, and looking so gentle, kind and loving. Granny, cried the little girl, oh take me with you. I know you will disappear when the match is burnt out. You will vanish till the warm stove, the lovely roast goose and the great glorious Christmas tree. She lit the match, and in that light she could find her grandmother. She just said that take me with you, because the moment the light vanishes you will go away. Then she quickly struck all the rest of the matches which she was holding in her hand, for she did not want her grandmother to go away. The matches flared up. If you will bright all the matchsticks together, of course you will have more light, and it flared up. With such a blaze, there was a shine, that it was brighter than the daylight. When the matchstick was born, it was more brighter than the light in the day. And her old grandmother had never seemed so beautiful or so stately before. In that glow of the matchstick, she could find something divine. Her grandmother looked more beautiful, more apprehensive. She took the little girl in her arms and flew with her high up, oh so high, towards glory and joy. And finally the little match girl was taken to the higher place. Now they knew neither cold nor hunger nor fear, for they were both with God. And finally the poetess tells us, the writer tells us that finally they have mingled with God, where there is no hunger, no cold, no fear. But in the cold dawn, early in the morning, it's early morning when the soul has fled, but the body was lying in the corner. Formed by the two houses, sat the little girl with the rosy cheeks and smiling lips. The face depicted happiness. Okay, the dead body, we can say here, has a rosy cheeks and a smiling lips. Dead, frozen to death on the last evening of the old year. The dawn of the new year rose on the huddled figure of a girl. She was still holding the matches, and a half packet had been burned. She was evidently trying to warm herself, people said. The common people who saw the dead body frozen, they had a discussion, or they just said that the girl was evidently trying to warm herself. But no one knew what beautiful vision she had seen, in what a blaze of glory she had entered with her dear old grandmother into the heavenly joy and gladness of a new year. But no one knew about the images or the imagery that was seen by the little match girl before death, how she amalgamated with her grandmother in peace, in harmony, in heaven on the last day of the old year. The little match girl talks about the hardships, desperation, hopelessness that she was suffering from, and how peaceful death is. There is no hunger, no poverty, no discrimination once when a person dies. Thank you.